Okay, well, welcome everyone as you come in. And today is the 6th of May, 2019. I'm Roy Potter, and this is an impromptu of the Potter Expositor. Uh, I thought that having been in the government for so long, one way or the other, uh, and knowing how the system works, I thought it's probably a good day to discuss what possibly is happening behind the scenes. Again, hello everyone as you come in. I appreciate you being here. I don't plan on this being long, but we'll see what happens. I might take a few questions. Of course, Tuesday is my normal day for doing the formal presentation. Not sure that's going to happen. I'm never sure these days because of the way things are. But I did want to get this up. First of all, as I said in a impromptu live stream yesterday, if you're watching what the Democrats, the leftist Marxists, the people like Clinton are doing, they're already crying foul on multiple fronts, uh, accusing others of what they themselves have done in mass. And as I said, I think this is a marshaling of forces. So keep your wits about you. There are people that will take, hello everyone, that will take these signals as time to act. And of course, they'll any time a conservative defends themselves, a Trump supporter defends themselves, just like in the schoolyard bully deal, they'll always call out the defensive move rather than the one that started the fight in the first place. So just keep your wits about you. Um, with everything happening on the border, and that seems to be really lacking now. I'm getting very disturbed that we can send our troops again everywhere else in the world, but to defend our border under the claim that that's law enforcement, when it is not under the circumstances that we have today. And I would be willing to argue with anybody on that point, but of course they won't give me the opportunity to do that. As I've mentioned before, I was involved in military police activities. I know what you can and can't do under what circumstances in garden plot. And people say, "Well, Roy, you're just an army officer." Well, the thing is that we are experiencing an invasion, and now, as many people have pointed out, the actual injection of biological weapons in human carriers being brought across our border. Not to mention all of the weapons transfers and the different terrorist cells, MS-13 cells, and I could go all down the list. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I was driving around. I had to go in town over the weekend, and I made this report to the police. And of course, they weren't too happy to hear about it. But in Utah, apparently, from what I saw yesterday, I got behind. I'm not going to say a whole lot here because I'm hoping that the police are investigating this. I got behind a vehicle that was not registered, had no license plates, and two Mexicans were in it. Ban me for that, YouTube. Two Mexicans were in it, and they were handing each other back and forth something and throwing them in the back. And I could tell from the looks that there were a lot of these things that they were looking at in the vehicle. And I am 95% certain that they were ballistic vests, in other words, bulletproof vests, a lot of them. So I think this type of thing is happening around the country. And yes, I did come up and I got a really good look at both of these characters. And when they realized that I was watching them, I guess I still look like a cop the way I move or whatever, because they took off. And I won't give you the details other than to say that I alerted a patrol officer and then went to the department and gave a full report. Uh, that I've done this type of thing before. I back when I was in the army, I made such a report to the J7 back in the Pentagon, who then forwarded it to the counterterrorism unit, and it prevented an attack uh, at that time. And I won't give you all the details about it, but definitely the place was being cased by Middle Eastern people at that point in time. Okay, so what am I saying? Man, things are going to get hot. I mean, they could. I see all the signaling from people like Clinton and how do you say her name, Hirono, and all of the rest of them, Nadler, all the rest of them, as being very dangerous, and they're going to blame us for any violence that occurs, even if we're just defending ourselves. I just want to make that point. The real purpose of this video, like I said, I helped to write plans. I did investigations. I've done a lot of work. All sorts of things in the military and other places to do with the government. And my guess, I don't have this conclusively right now, but knowing the timetables involved, my guess is that AG Barr already has the first draft of the OIG report from Horowitz. I am relatively certain of it. If he doesn't have the entire draft, he's seeing pieces of it as it comes in. And that's how they do it. A lot of people are waiting for the IG report to be handed over to Barr, but it's not like they just come in one day and lay it on his desk, and then he tells us that it's there, and then he presents it to whomever, the public or whatever, which wouldn't happen anyway, not initially. He'll treat this much like the Mueller report. There'll have to be redactions and things like that. But at any rate, my point is that I am reasonably certain, knowing the timetables involved, that AG Barr has the complete report right now. And I say it's in draft form because he's not going to make the OIG change anything, but I suspect if he sees any deficiencies in the report, he is going to have the Horowitz go back and address those issues if AG Barr is really for real and really wants to fix the country. He's going to look for deficiencies in the report, like in the Mueller report, where Mueller never even talked about the situation with Ukraine, didn't talk about the situation with the Five Eyes or MI6 or Halper or any of that. Clinton's paying for the dossier, all of those things that Mueller refused to cover, supposedly, even though he's supposed to look for all things Russian. As you all know by now, this even Joe DeGeneva called the Mueller report a law school paper from a first year law student. And it was, like I told you before, it was full of hearsay, it was full of assumptions, innuendo. There was really no evidence at all of there. Talking about a person's frame of mind in the context that Mueller did is not professional. And so, at any rate, if he could have, Barr probably would have been involved earlier in that, but I think he probably didn't because of the circumstance. But the OIG is going to be something separate. He likely has, like I said, that I know Barr is conflicted, watching on the wall. I know Barr's whole history. I'm hoping, as my Republican insider has said, and I've mentioned, I think Barr has had an epiphany. I hope so. We'll know very shortly if he's for real, if he's really had a change of heart and is concerned about the Republic and wants to go down in history as the guy who helped save the Republic, or at least save Trump's presidency and the rule of law. Uh, you know, this is it. So we'll see. I'm still skeptical. I told my Republican insider last night, as a matter of fact, I said, I think you're right. I think Barr's had a change in heart the way he handled those hearings and these other things that are going on. Yeah, I think so. But the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding isn't on the table yet. I got to see somebody hauled off in bracelets before I'm absolutely positive he's on the right side. And then what about Hillary and Obama? I mean, that might be a lost cause. I don't know. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. So I do think that Bill Barr has the OIG report already. Very likely he may have even had it before this. Some of his reactions to the senators last week tell me that he probably knew some things at that point. But he'll have his staff review the report, address any deficiencies that he sees. I don't believe he'll have Horowitz change anything significantly. I think it'll be to address things that Barr thinks he should that maybe he hasn't. So I just wanted to let you know that. I really think that, if they're going to release that this month or the first couple of weeks in June, the timetable would be that he has the report now. Okay, that's just how things work. Secondly, a lot of people are wondering about the Huber report. Like I told you before, Huber did nothing under Sessions. Barr asked him for work product. There was a record of that when Huber went to meet Barr with some other U.S. attorneys. Probably that at that point in time, Barr said he wanted to see the work product, and there probably wasn't any or very little. So I suspect that probably the real reason for the delay in the IG report is so that Huber can get his ass caught up to speed. That's my guess. Under threat of some serious consequences if he doesn't produce product. So we're probably actually waiting for whatever he's got. That's probably what's actually holding up the OIG report at this time. That's my analysis on the situation, and we're in dire circumstances. This country is divided like Yugoslavia. I've talked about it a long time ago, all along now that we've been balkanized. If you're paying attention to what's happening with all these states, principally on the east and west coast, but also Illinois, Kentucky, and some others, New Mexico, I think, uh, are trying to pass laws to keep a presidential candidate off the ballot in their states if he doesn't submit their tax returns. I think that that's not legal. I think that that will probably be fought by Barr. But right now, they're not going to. I don't think Barr's going to address that yet. There are other more important things to do. But you can see how the entire country has been divided against itself here. And if you don't know anything about the history of Yugoslavia after Tito, that he was um, well, he wasn't the leader. He was the authoritarian tyrant over Yugoslavia for good reason. The dang Bosniaks, Croats, and Serbs couldn't get along, so you almost needed a heavy hand to keep that place under check. Same thing like in Iraq. That was the thing about Saddam Hussein. He kept the different sects of the Islamic people, along with the Kurds and all that, under control by his threats of violence against them if they upset the apple cart. So there's some. I mean, after NATO and Clinton bombed Yugoslavia, the situation is actually worse now than it was then. If NATO withdrew from former Yugoslavia, of course it's been divided up into about like 5 countries now. They'd be back at each other's throats. But at any rate, the point is that balkanization, they call it, is what they've set up here in America, and it's ready to get ignited. It's ready to get ignited. Yeah, I know Teddy Armstrong. I don't like what's going on. Um, I don't want to get into a big discussion of Israel and Iran. Uh, I realize what the mullahs, the imams, and those guys are, the Khomeinis, etc., are in Iran, and the problems that they've caused. But and even though people say, "Well, Roy, we have the problem today," you can't keep pointing back to where the problem began. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, whatever it was. But yes, you can, because if you don't learn from history and change your techniques, you're just going to make the same mistakes again. So my situation is here is I know what the I know what the diplomatic solution is to the Iran problem, and it doesn't involve Saudi Arabia and it doesn't involve Israel. Okay, Trump said something the other day. Remember, I've been calling for him to go back and make friendly overtures again with Russia, despite the neocons and the Trotskyites and the military-industrial complex. And I told you yesterday in my impromptu live stream that he has said that it would be nice to have peace with Russia and that he's reached out to Putin again. He's going to get a lot of flack from that. I'm telling you, that's why the Senate is the way they are. That's why the neocons, that's why the rhinos, that's why the leftist Marxists are crazy right now. Because if the United States and Russia ever get together, it's the end for sure of the New World Order. It is the end of that. It's the end of all the crap that they've been doing with China and everything. You can't tell you not a U.S. citizen, are you? Huh? Well, I guess you're talking to me. I was an army officer. I'm pretty sure I was a. I don't want to say I was a U.S. citizen. Citizen has a bad connotation, but yes, I was. I was born in America. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that. But the point is, yeah, I don't like our response to Iran right now. Hamas is a problem, but Hamas is a trigger for Israel to justify its activities, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay, because it gets so it's what the intelligence community does to foment these fights and these things. I have no doubt that they were partially responsible for the things that were happening in Venezuela over the last few years. I don't know if Trump is savvy enough in foreign policy and in the political landscape of the world to really understand these things. But the fact that he will not call the mainstream media a propaganda arm of the CIA, the fact that he won't say that publicly tells me either he doesn't really understand that or whatever. I don't want to find fault with him in that necessarily, but at the same time, I see a problem where he's either missing some important information here or he's dancing around some other music that I don't particularly like. But at any rate, we'll see. The big crux right now is, are they going to collar these people? Are they going to go after the criminals, the traitors, the seditionists in our government and in the social, or I'll just say in the media, both the mainstream media and the social media, who have ripped this country to shreds? And if they start going after people, you bet there's going to be an uprising amongst the leftist Marxists. You bet there is. There's no doubt that's going to happen. So just be aware of that and make the proper preparations, as I've always said, so that you don't have to, go out and get near those danger zones. So that's basically all I wanted to say this morning. I won't address a lot of questions. I'm looking at a few of them. Yeah, that's true. The deep state is not winning, and they are vindictive. That's true, Lydia. That's true. Okay, the wall being built is now almost. It's almost too little, too late. I guess it would never hurt to have it up, but the real issue was that the military should have been placed at that border some time ago, as I called for, and at least now. Yes, I know the political fallout from that. I understand it, the accusations that are being made, but history and the law will prove out that that would be the right thing to do if Trump actually did it. Okay, I got to go. I just wanted to let you know that. I'm certain that Barr has that report. I'm certain that he's looking it over, asking IG Horowitz to, like I said, address any deficiencies that he sees, that Barr sees. And also, this delay has probably been because Barr stepped on Huber and told him to get his butt in gear here about 2 months ago when he first got in. And I'm sure that his work product is behind the power curve. Can they arrest Barr? Yeah, I don't know all the detail on the law as it comes to those things. It's interesting that when people refuse, I guess really the only AG that in the history that I know of that has ever been held in contempt of Congress was Holder. Um, Barr has a different reason for not testifying. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. If I were Barr, I wouldn't, and I would if I were President Trump, as has already happened. He's already said, I think, to his people, you're not going to go testify in Congress. There's executive privilege involved here, and of course, Obama claimed the same thing. So but I think the Supreme Court will be on Trump's side. Even the leftists on the court would have to make uh, a judgment based upon a favorability to President Trump on this. So we'll see. Yeah, that's right. If they lose power, they will do a scorched earth policy. That's exactly what's coming. That's what I'm worried about. So just keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, and your situational awareness on high. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go. I hope you all have a great day. Let's watch and see what happens. I'm really looking forward to that first caller, and then I'll know that Barr is for real. Okay, that he's finally decided that he had an epiphany, that he's got to help save the republic, and we'll move down that line. He has a bad history, bad history. I mean, he's a great attorney, smart, aggressive and all that, but I wouldn't say he's been on the best side all of his career. But Joe DeGeneva has a lot of faith in him, and that means a lot to me because I trust Joe DeGeneva actually more than just about anybody else right now. Okay? All right, I got to go. You guys have a great day out here.